As you drive into Greensboro from I-40 West, Gateway Gardens is likely one of the very first things you'll see. And this beautiful art is really an introduction to all the art you can see in Greensboro. Public art outside and the beautiful art displayed in our galleries. Probably the most established art museum in Greensboro is Weatherspoon on the campus of UNCG. At the corner of Spring Garden and Tate Streets, it's open to anyone for visiting. Nancy Dahl is the director of the Weatherspoon Art Museum at UNCG. Explain a little bit about what you do here at Weatherspoon.
Well, we present our collections and exhibitions, and we really bring together modern and contemporary art with learning opportunities for people of all ages.
Talk a little bit about what's behind us, because I hear this is the crown jewel.
Yes, it is. Behind us is a painting from 1949-50 by Willem de Kooning entitled Woman. It was purchased in 1954, which was a very visionary act on the part of the art department faculty who went up to purchase it. It is the jewel in our crown. It's on view as much as we can have it on view, and it's because it's such an important piece in his career.
Wow. So you said things come down, things come up. When you come, you really see different things in different days.
We have 6 galleries, and we do about 16 exhibitions a year, so we're rotating all the time. And yes, people can come back a month later and they'll see 3 new shows possibly, or whatever, but there's a constant changeover and constantly new educational programs for people, so there's always something here for people to benefit from.
What is kind of an underlying theme of some of the art we'll see?
I don't know if it's an underlying theme, except our focus really is on modern and contemporary art. We have the only collection so focused in the state of North Carolina, and it's considered one of the best in the Southeast.
Where does your support come from?
Our support comes from the state in terms of most salaries are paid for by the state. We get some from the university, and then we do a lot of fundraising, grant proposals. It's a challenge.
It always is. How can people get more involved?
Oh, they can become members, they can become volunteers. There are benefits such as a free parking pass. Of course, we're free admission anyway, but they get first announcements about special members' activities, our annual member meeting. So there are benefits.
And of course, this is not just for UNCG family.
No, the community was involved from the get-go, and that's why we've also had, or always had, a firm foot in both UNCG and in the community, and we rely on the community for a lot of support.
What is the art climate like overall in Greensboro, you think?
Well, I think the overall cultural climate, visual and performing arts, is very, very healthy. I wish funding were a little healthier. Obviously, there are a lot of projects such as the Tanger Center, which has taken up a lot of private donations, but that'll start to come back as people pay off those pledges. And I think with the Public Art Endowment, I think the arts are really thriving.
This is Spoon Boy. You might see him around town. Pose with him for a selfie if you'd like. And find out more about what's going on at Weatherspoon by going to the website, weatherspoon.uncg.edu. Art is all around us in Greensboro, especially on Greensboro's college campus where creativity is in full bloom. At Bennett College, the gallery is at Steele Hall. Adam Carlin is a visiting curator for the Steele Hall Gallery. So what brought you here and what are you doing here?
So President Fuse Hall brought me here in November to work with Harry Swartz-Turfel to make a new exhibition program we've made about a year-long exhibition program focusing on Black contemporary artists, and also to activate Bennett's extensive permanent collection, and to make it more engaging for the students, and to kind of use the collection as prompts for educational experiences and workshops. And so, yeah.
Okay, so it starts just by kind of getting the word out and kind of telling people that what you have and what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think we really want to have a lot of collaborations with our exhibition program. So getting that word out means also finding collaborators, finding different organizations to work with, different people in Greensboro, different universities in Greensboro. So I think we just started the exhibition program about 2 months ago, but we're still getting the word out, to promote our events, but to open them up to different people who want to get involved with them.
And it's not just seeing art, it's actually making art too.
Yeah, so our program, it's very interdisciplinary. So we have artists working in dance and performance and sculpture and painting and installation, and each of these exhibitions are paired with workshops or lectures, or sometimes even the public will help create the exhibitions.
Harry Turfel is an art instructor and working on the gallery here at Bennett. So how did we get to where we are now at this gallery?
So this gallery used to be a cafeteria, and one of Bennett's most famous art pieces in our collection, a mural done by Aaron Douglas, was painted when this was a cafeteria. It's now on loan to the North Carolina Museum of Art, and it's a painting of Harriet Tubman breaking the chains of oppression and going towards progress in the 21st century, which is where we are now. And so this space has been many things over time. In 2004, it was renovated when Dr. Janetta Cole was president, into a 21st century gallery space you see around us, which is one of the most beautiful gallery spaces in Greensboro.
This current exhibition really exemplifies the idea of art as engagement, or art and film and photography as an engaging process for the students. So this is San Francisco filmmaker and artist Kim Ano. She came to Bennett about a month ago, and Kim Ano makes these films thinking about climate change and thinking about the future watery worlds and how youth will redefine their social life, their leisure time, even sports, how they'll redefine sports in these worlds transformed by climate change. So she makes these films, and students and the youth are actors in her films. They're dancers, they're set designers. She uses all these students who will have to deal with the problems of climate change in the future to be actors in these films.
Why is it important to have galleries and art on college campuses?
Well, it's one of those things, art does something different than everything else, right? Art is a kind of way of thinking. Every culture in history has had art, but art as it's done and practiced in 21st century America and the world is something very different. So my students mostly come from other majors and other kinds of ways of thinking. And so when they come to my class, it's like, well, here's a whole different way of thinking that's very creative and open, and sort of open to contradictions and open to explorations in ways that students can really find themselves and be creative and discover something.
So what do you see as the future? Where is this going to be a year from now, 5 years from now?
I think, a sustained contemporary art program focusing on Black artists and a platform for Black artists in Greensboro or around the country to come to Steele Hall Gallery and have exhibitions and engage with our students. So this is just the first year of the program, but hopefully it'll be around for many, many years.
We're actually below the gallery right now in an art classroom space. Also, the permanent collection is housed downstairs below Steele Hall Gallery. So it kind of gives you a scope of all the things going on in this building at Bennett. And you can keep up with everything going on here too by following them on Instagram and on Facebook. Facebook, it's Art at Bennett, and Instagram, it's Steele Hall Gallery, and that's STEELE. Green Hill offers a space for North Carolina art, a place to see it, experience it, and make your own. Laura Way is the executive director of Green Hill. So what exactly do you do at Green Hill that makes it special?
Oh, Green Hill is so special. Thanks for asking. What Green Hill is essentially 4 different spaces. We have the gallery where we have exhibitions every year. Generally, we have 4 exhibitions, 5 exhibitions a year from artists from North Carolina or who have been trained and have moved out of the state. because our mission is to support and promote the North Carolina artist. So in the gallery, you'll see great contemporary art. The In Focus Gallery, where I'm standing now, is a space where we're creating an environment for people to come in who are interested in collecting art for their home or office. Then the shop, which is a great way to introduce yourself to North Carolina art. We have price points from $50 to $500, jewelry, pottery, glass. And then there's the ArtQuest Studios. It's our educational program for children and families. It is the best creative space, I think, in the triad for allowing children and their parents or caregiver to really tap into their creative spirit. We give them tools, paint, clay, cut up materials, and just say, you figure it out. We'll help you, but do something that you want to do. It's just fabulous to watch ArtQuest.
Creating new North Carolina artists for the future of Green Hill.
Yes. And we have created artists who have come through ArtQuest and now are getting their MFAs at graduate programs across the country, who come back and say, if it weren't for ArtQuest when I was a child, I might not be doing this now.
Edie Carpenter is the Director of Curatorial and Artistic Programs here at Green Hill, and we'd love for you to share a little bit about the artists who are on exhibit now.
Yes, well, this is one of a series of really wonderful two-person exhibitions by major North Carolina artists that we put on every 2 or 3 years at Green Hill, which has included major Western North Carolina artists, Robert Johnson's, whose works on panel and canvas. Johnson's work are really kind of an invitation to enter into wild places which are becoming scarcer and scarcer. It also presents over 20 works by master book artists Daniel Essig. And Essig's works really are about the history of his art form within the work itself.
How do you support them? How are you able to do this, to keep this gallery open, ArtQuest open?
Well, we're able to support them through our members. You can become a member starting at $35 up into the $10,000 if you would like, and we will love that. We do sell art, and the artist receives 60% of the proceeds. Then we have fundraisers. We have a fundraiser every year, Collector's Choice. And then we raise corporate and foundation money. So it's a combination of contributed income, memberships, grants, and sponsorships.
What do you like about working with North Carolina artists?
First of all, it's the exceptional quality of their work. These two artists really have national reputations and have been exhibited internationally. They embody a wonderful approach to both landscape painting and book arts, this ability to kind of encapsulate with this highest kind of craft and pictorial sensibility and approach to nature, which I think is very relevant to, and it speaks to, really everyone's concern today.
This state is so incredibly rich with talent. From the far western part of the state to down east, there are so many artists. In our Rolodex of artists at any given time, there's over 1,000 artists we could call every single day. And there's no other platform for them that is about their art. And so it's really important to become that epicenter for North Carolina artists, to have an outlet for professional artists.
Green Hill always offers opportunities to meet the artist and learn more about the work on exhibit. You can find out when those are happening, when all the events are happening at Green Hill and ArtQuest, and the operating hours by going to greenhilluncg.org. For a look at some of the very best African American art, you'll want to stop in the African American Atelier inside Greensboro's Cultural Arts Center. This is Miss Kai. She is the youth director here at the African American Atelier. Explain a little bit about the gallery.
Well, this gallery features African American artists, up and coming and professional artists, and veterans. And we have shows that rotate every 30 days to every 2 months. Right now, this is Olivia Gatewood's solo show, and she specializes in liquid mosaic. And the gallery also has a youth program where we send art teachers out to Gifford County Schools after school program, and we teach art for about 2 hours. We also have a Saturday enrichment workshop from 10 to 1 every other Saturday, twice a month. And they learn lessons in art and design, collage, printmaking, pottery, and things of that nature.
You obviously work lots with children. Why is it so important for you to expose children to art and help them make their own art?
Children need to be exposed to arts because it helps in education. It helps them academically. It helps them form a creative side of them and be able to express their artistic side. And this is proven to bring up grades and test scores.
Why is it so important, you think, to have this gallery here in Greensboro?
Well, the African American community needs to be presented or given the opportunity to share our creative side, and we do specialize in bringing in African American artists and their work.
It's really great to be able to share and to see the beautiful art. I love her art that is on display now. I feel like it looks wet. You really just want to touch it.
Yes, it's gorgeous, and it's done in liquid mosaic. I've never seen an artist manipulate a liquid mosaic the way that this artist has. Olivia Gatewood is just a jewel. Her work speaks for itself. When you look at it, it's just gorgeous.
I can imagine children and adults alike are really drawn to it, to the colors and to the textures.
Right. The kids, they want to touch it. They want to know what is the medium. And most of her pieces are mixed medium, so it turns into like a 2D or 3D effect, some of her work.
Find out all about the artists, the exhibits, and all the events going on by going to their website. It is africanamericanatelier.org. The artists range in age from 3 years old to senior citizens, and so you never know exactly what you might see hanging on the wall at the Center for Visual Artists until you actually go. One thing you will find is that all of the art was done in or around Greensboro. Katie Lank is the executive director of the Center for Visual Artists. So what exactly do you do here?
So the Center for Visual Artists, we are kind of all-encompassing organization. We have education programming as well as a gallery space, and we focus on emerging artists. And for us, that's from the little bitties at age 3 all the way up to that senior citizen who maybe hasn't had the opportunity to expose themselves to the art world yet.
So are these local artists? Do they come from other places?
So everyone that we focus on is in the Greensboro area and a little bit outside of the Greensboro area, but we're very much about our local community, and we have so many amazing, talented artists in this area, then we don't see the reason to go any farther.
And right now you're showcasing some local children.
Yeah, so this is our very youngest emerging artist, and this is our Dirty Fingernails exhibition. It's a fundraiser for our scholarship fund as well. So lots of art has been shown, and it's actually ages 3 to 18, so quite a range of our youth.
So talk about, how do you keep it going? How do you keep the lights on? How do you keep bringing artists in?
Well, we're really lucky to have so many amazing supporters in our community, individuals that see what we're doing and think it's important for their children to attend our summer camps or for themselves to come to a gallery opening and make a donation. And there's so many other amazing funding agencies within our community, Arts Greensboro, CFGG, and other people that they also see what we're doing and value it and think that it's worth them giving a little bit of money to keep the lights on.
How do you talk a little bit about some of your summer camps camps and about your after-school programs.
Well, our summer camps, we have the biggest art camp in the area. We have over 100 camps, so that's about 600 campers, I think, that come through. It's pretty wild. And they're themed camps. They're week-long. What we want to do is have a theme that engages children in the arts. Maybe they're not interested in the art necessarily, but maybe they love pirates. Maybe they love fashion, or they're interested in animation. So we have camps that touch on those themes that may not be technically an art interest of theirs, but we pull them into the visual arts by creating those more themed camps. Same idea with our after-school program. Each day we focus on a different theme, and the children create art based on that theme. So we have a clay day, we have a digital art day, as well as one that's focusing on that merge between science and art.
And so what do you think is kind of the message about art and artist when people walk in that you want people to really get?
I want people to understand that anyone can be in this community of artists. You don't have to consider yourself an artist. You could just be an art lover. You could just enjoy standing in a gallery and viewing art and being inspired and putting that smile on your face by seeing some of these children's work.
You can check out the art in the gallery every day except Mondays. And if you want to find out about the after-school programs, the summer camps, or upcoming exhibitions, just check them out online. Go to greensboroart.org. While most galleries have signs that ask you, please do not touch, Elsewhere is quite different. In fact, they not only encourage you to touch things, but to play and even change the art here. George Shear is the co-founder and director of Elsewhere. How did this get started? Where did this come from?
So the story begins with my grandmother, Sylvia Gray, who ran a store here from 1939 till 1997, a series of different inventories that she amassed over that 60 years, literally filling this building 3 floors full of stuff, 1,500 bolts of vintage fabric, thousands of articles of clothing, toys, objects, surplus, you name it. And when she passed in 97, it sat in a massive heap, a sort of untapped treasure. So that's sort of how it began. And then I came in with a collaborator, Stephanie Sherman, and a group of artists. And we decided that nothing would be for sale and nothing would leave. Instead, we would start inviting artists to come in from all over the world to create work using these materials, this treasure. And so over the last 14 years, we've had hundreds of artists, probably over 1,000 artists that have come from all over to create work using this resource.
Tell me about your grandmother. What do you remember about her?
She was wonderful. She was a matriarch. She was a very strong woman. She raised 3 kids here in Greensboro, and I think she also had a sense of value and the worth of things. I think it comes her experience came out of an era of the Depression when everything had value and meaning and that it was worth saving. And I think that there's a lot of lessons to be learned in that, and especially in our disposable, throwaway kind of culture. So, I think, toward her later years, if she liked you, it would be cheap. And there are many artists I know in the community who came and got items for their work, community theater using costumes. On the other hand, if she didn't like you, she wouldn't sell to you. If you tried to barter with her, and she would raise the price. So she, I think, was a tough old lady.
What made you do this?
Well, I think that we saw there was this tremendous treasure that was here, and we saw great potential in Greensboro and in downtown in this area. And I think we also really wanted to imagine another way that people could be together, in a way that our environment and the objects in our environment could be a form of creativity. We were artists, we were thinkers, we were writers. I was studying political communications at UPenn, and my collaborator was in 20th century literature, and we saw all these creative communities that were operating, in the literature that we were reading, and there was this sort of myth of individual genius that we would see. Hemingway would go off into his attic, but what we actually know is that he was seated at the table with Gertrude Stein and Picasso and Matisse, and that they were around the table having this very strange community life. And there's a lot of different versions of communal artistic creative practices. And so our question was, what if there was an environment that would foster that kind of collaboration, would foster that kind of community, would foster experimentation and growth in line with the city and challenging and pushing the city, at the same time as providing the resources for making, the space for making, the space for exhibition, and bringing all of those things together in this kind of one magical environment born out of this 20th century treasure of material culture.
So nothing is for sale. That does not sound like the best business model.
No, but we think it's an interesting cultural model. We are a nonprofit. We receive support from multiple foundations, but we also, of course, provide programs and education events that do earn money. We do creative retreats for universities. We have high school groups that come in. We do tours. So there's all sorts of ways that we actually do sustain a team and a staff and a nonprofit operation. We also, of course, get support from groups like the Kresge Foundation, from the Warhol Foundation, from Arts Greensboro, the National Endowment for the Arts, from the Simula Foundation, Tannenbaum Sternberger, all sorts, both local and national, that have been supporting this venture. We have artists and interns that live here. So we're actually providing a place for residents of artists downtown.
Pretty cool.
And the kitchen itself is an installation. So people walk in, it's that part of that museum experience. They walk in and they say, is this a store? And then they're told, no, it's a museum. And then they put their hands in their pockets and say, no, please touch. You're welcome to touch. And then they come through. And then they're like, well, why are people making dinner in a museum? That doesn't make any sense to me. So, museums are places where artists also can live. And so we have artists that come in, 50 a year. We take applications. And when they apply, they don't apply with a project proposed. They don't say, this is what I want to do. Instead, they come here and they find their project within the materials and within the space. So artists are creating on top of other artists. They're layering, building works with other artists. They're responding to the community inside the building and also community outside in our downtown and in Greensboro, responding to Greensboro's history and bringing it in, taking elsewhere's history and bringing it out. And so there are projects both fun and absurd and projects that are more serious and conflictual.
Nothing is static here, and every time you visit it will be different.
Yes, it continues to shift and change all the time. This is our urban green garden. This is the yard, as we call it. And this was built last year through a project called South Elm Projects. There was a series of different works, including hopscotch and the black lunch tables and this. And this was really a collaboration with HQ Greensboro and with the Forge and with our neighbors on the 600 block, and sort of saying, hey, let's think of our buildings as permeable. Let's think about our communities as coming together, not just inside of our buildings, but actually coming out through the back and let this be a shared sort of space. So we work with the Greensboro Permaculture Guild and Common Ground, who helped build out this space. We have downspouts by an artist, Buster Simpson, who's a very well-known ecological artist from Seattle, and Milagros Collective, which did the mural back up here. The hopscotch was a project by Augustina Woodgate, and Augustina is a Argentinian artist based in Miami, and so it goes from sewer drains to sewer drains is how it works. So it's in 5 different neighborhoods. Number 1 is in Buenos Aires, and it goes through 5 neighborhoods in Buenos Aires, and then I believe goes to Miami, and then comes here and starts at the railroad track and wraps through downtown, through the South End, the South End neighborhood, and then went to Denver after this.
What is the future of Elsewhere?
The future of Elsewhere is a strong community-based organization that continues to bring in a lot of great national creativity into the city. I think it helps lead the transformation and equitable renaissance of the South Elm area. And our mission is to build a more collaborative culture, and that's a very broad mission, but in a very specific way it changes over time. And so I think the needs and the challenges of downtown and the needs and challenges of the art world today, and as we try very slowly to shift culture in a way that is positive and supportive and equitable for all people, that arts organizations around the country have a role to play in this, and we are networked and partnered with lots of organizations and artists that are doing that kind of work.
Swing on by elsewhere on South Elm Street any Wednesday through Saturday, 1 to 10 p.m. And if you want a special tour, come by on Saturdays at 4 o'clock. You can find out more by going to goelsewhere.org. Art is all around us in Greensboro. Don't forget about all the outdoor art free for your enjoyment to enjoy anytime the parks are open. Greensboro's parks have lots of beautiful art, as well as the downtown Greenway.